Alright, hello everybody and welcome back to another Trying to Fix video. And today I have for you these Sennheiser? Pretty sure it's Sennheiser. Sennheiser PXC 550 noise cancelling headphones. We'll focus there just so you can see the thing. But either way, PXC 550 noise cancelling headphones. These that do not turn on. Apparently there's a very common problem with these. And we're going to see if we can either fix the current problem or if we can make a workaround to have this thing work. I bought these off of Facebook Marketplace. Somebody was selling them for $50, and I looked them up online to realize that these things retail at $3.99. I was like, that can't be right. These got to be old, because they are old. There's a new, like, number 2 model out now. It's been out for a little while. These still have a micro USB port in them and everything, so like they're an older style. But still, this version of these seems to still sell for around $300 to $399, somewhere in there. I'm sure you could find it cheaper at other places, but apparently they're really good headphones, and that makes me say, hey, $50, I'll give that a shot. And the nice thing is about the $50 too, they didn't just come with one, but it was 2 pairs with very similar issues. Both of these will not turn on. And the other item the seller said was one of them has the pairing button right here. This one works fine. This one is stuck, so you can't pair anything to it. The ironic thing is he said something along the lines of, you can't pair anything to it, and they don't turn on, but they work just fine. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but okay, we'll deal with it from there. Now, from what I understand on these turn on by... See, they're fancy little. Everything turns in them. They're all fancy, but they turn on by the right ear plug, which is this one that's got all the stuff on it. The right earphone. If you look closely, you'll see that there's a red piece right there. And from my understanding, is when you turn this, it makes a connection with a magnetic switch that's up in this piece right here, and that's supposed to turn the device on. Now, I was like, okay, maybe the magnetic switch is broken. Maybe we can fix the switch. But somebody said in a comment somewhere that these magnets apparently are very prone. I don't know if you can. I don't have any idea if it's a good view. Very prone to falling out, and there's a hole right in here. I'm hoping that's showing up. And he said if you can see a hole versus a magnet there, that means your magnet's gone. And yeah, good luck. So this one definitely has a missing magnet, and the other one is the exact same way. It's just a hole. It would, trust me, if it didn't show up on camera, there's no magnet visible. There is just a hole. So I'm pretty sure the problem is that the magnet is gone. It fell out, and that's why it's not doing anything. When no matter how much you twist it, no matter how much you try to make this thing click, it will just not turn on. When you plug it in, you do get an indication here on the battery charge, and it charges. So I know the circuitry seems to be intact in there. It's not more major than that, at least not obviously. It could be a bunch of things wrong with this, but let's hope. I also tried to go get some magnets. I have a whole bunch of just standard magnets and a much thicker magnet or a much stronger magnet that I was hoping I could just trick this thing to test and make sure it's going to work. But I tried putting these magnets all around where the switch is going to be, the sensor is going to be, any combination of them, putting them together. I can't get either of these to turn on like this. So I'm not sure if that's actually an indication that something more is wrong with it than I think, but we're going to still give this thing a try anyway. Let's since I'm tearing into one anyway, let's tear into one that has the problem with the button as well, because if I do this incorrectly and break something while tearing into it, I'd rather tear into the one that's got more problems with it. I don't know how to get into these exactly yet, but I do have some ideas that I've seen other people try on what to do to try to fix these as a workaround to fix, but I want to look at it a little bit more as well to see what we can do. I've heard that people, what they've done is, there's a YouTube video out there where they've taken this switch right here is for noise canceling. It's either off, on, like off all the way one way, or off all the way this way, on all the way this way, or adaptive or whatever in the middle. Noise canceling is one of the great features of these headphones. But I've seen a couple of YouTube videos where people actually replace this switch and hook it up to where this switch used to be instead, so they lose the noise canceling ability, but they could turn it on, which I guess is a trade-off that you're going to make. If you can't use this anyway, let's turn it on in some way, shape, or form and make these usable. But I don't want to lose the noise canceling functionality. The other person I've seen has a forum in a forum that talked about this is apparently this switch right here is for Bluetooth. Because you can plug these in with a normal I can't say a normal headphone jack. It's a 2.5 millimeter headphone jack instead of a standard 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, which is kind of annoying. So you can't just take your normal aux cable, like this one right here. You can't just take this and plug it in because it doesn't fit. But I actually have an adapter, but it's just a mono adapter. It was just to test to see if it works. So I have a 2.5 to 3, or 3.5 to 2.5 adapter. So I plugged this in and actually tested both of these headphones, and one channel of them actually does work, which is nice to know that the headphones themselves are functional. But it's kind of annoying that they made these, if they're gonna have a jack, with a 2.5 millimeter one. I think they originally came with an adapter for them, but I didn't get the adapter when I purchased these. But it's just kind of another piece you have to carry around with you if you ever want to use it with a normal thing. But either way, I digress. So instead of using that, this switch over here is for Bluetooth, and you can turn the Bluetooth off to conserve battery if you're going to use them by having them plugged in. Or you can also plug them in by a USB and use them that way. So you can conserve battery. I guess if you're plugged in by a USB, it's going to be charging. But if you're using it as an aux cable, conserve battery. But most people, like I plan on using these mainly as the other side. I plan on using these mainly as Bluetooth. I don't plan on really plugging them in. This person said they just made this switch be always on, so the Bluetooth is always on, and they turned this switch into the on-off switch for this. They hooked it up and bypassed the magnetic sensor. So I figure that's always an easy option for this. But I want to see what the inside of these look like and see if there's anything else we can think of, or just to see how quick and easy this is going to be to actually do. So without further ado, let's get in here. I'm assuming these little pads are just getting me to, there we go, zoom that in. Lifting up little pads, revealing screws. Okay, let's see. Zoom back out and take a look. Okay, I unscrewed all the screws that I can see. There we go. So it looks like I gotta lift up around the silver piece. It's slowly coming. I was concerned that there's like a ribbon cable or something in here that's, connecting something. I didn't watch really a teardown video of this. I just kind of saw some people with some ideas and solutions, and they kind of started when it was already torn down. Because I wanted to look at a lot of this myself. What is holding this on? Oh, it feels like glue. Oh yeah, just a lot of glue in there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there's one wire that's connecting this board down to this board. Trying to look. There's a little ribbon cable for some things. I don't know where exactly that ribbon cable goes. There's another ribbon cable over here. I unfortunately don't have a good way. Let me put this down like that. There we go. I need to trace how whatever this switch is here makes a connection, what points it actually connects between, so I know what I have to look at with whatever solution I have. And now, just to feel this out, this is the switch for the active noise canceling, right here. There we go. So this switch is for active noise canceling up here. This is the Bluetooth button, or the pairing button, which on this one I have to fix this too, remember. Figure out why it's... Doesn't want to, it moves back and forth very slightly. Alright everybody, so I've been poking around a little bit off video when I was getting a new battery, just to try to familiarize myself with which pieces do what, so I knew what I was messing with. And my understanding after looking at this and watching a video as well, This ribbon cable over here that comes in, if you can see it, it clips into the board here. And this is the sensor, the wire that hooks up to the magnetic switch. So this is what people have seemed to do. They usually disconnect it, and then I saw one video where somebody like shoved some wires in the first 2 pins here. So I'm assuming it's the first 2 pins that are what actually connect the magnetic sensor. But I guess there's one side of the switch here is also on this little point, and the other side that can be a good connection for the ground plane is over here on which is a nice like open plane right here that you can actually connect to. So it seems that one of the easiest ways to fix this is to branch those 2 points right there. And I was like, okay, before I start messing with anything, let's just test it and see if it works. And I got, I started with tweezers, and then I got the some wire to do it, and I was connecting it, and I'm like, okay, nothing's happening. You would hear it say power on, power off when you connect the points, or power on. And you could also possibly see some lights on the underside of it here. But no matter what I've done, I'm not getting any of the lights or anything. So I was beginning to wonder if I was looking at the wrong points on this, and I almost actually gave up. Then I said, you know what? I got the second one right here. So let me open up the second one and see if it has the same behavior to know if I'm just barking up the wrong tree, if I'm looking at the wrong thing, or if something's wrong with that first set that I have to delve into further. And sure enough, when I connect to this point to this plane, I don't know if you could hear that, but he said power on. And right when I disconnected, it says power off. So, see, you should be able to see lights come on here. There you go. Getting that in the view. So let me see if I can make this happen so you guys can trust that this one works. I didn't make the connection. Actually, did the lights even come on? They're flashing. I don't know if you can see them. That is working. So let's go through, and now remember, this is the headset that has the button and everything that works fine over here, the pairing button. So why don't we focus our attention on this headset for now and see if we can get this one working, and then I'll go back to the first one and see if we can delve into it a little bit more on what's wrong. So this is the Bluetooth switch right here, and I think I actually was incorrect before. When I saw somebody messing with this was definitely the switch they were messing with. I thought they were doing it to the noise canceling switch, but it was definitely this one. So I think I just was looking at the video incorrectly at the time, but I need to get it small enough. Screwdriver for this. Let's take this board out, because what I need to do is make sure the Bluetooth is always enabled by connecting it together. And you know what? Will I need to do that? Yeah, probably. I was thinking maybe I can just bring the points, run a wire from here to the switch and here to the switch without even messing with the Bluetooth. But I realized that would then screw up the connection on the Bluetooth itself, and it could interfere with it, or like do something with the chip, put power into the chip in a direction it's not supposed to be going, and make this thing worse than it currently is. So let's not mess with that. Let's just do it this simple way. The first thing to do is get the switch unscrewed, and then tweezers. Somehow misplace my tweezers every time I go to fix something, and I haven't moved from this spot. I'm gonna bust out the set and get a different one out. It's just really annoying because they're sitting right around here somewhere. So let's get this board out gently. Okay, so there's wires coming into it already, which are the Bluetooth wires, as you can see here. So what I need to do is connect the Bluetooth wires together themselves, tuck them back in, so Bluetooth is just always on. And then solder new wires to this switch and bring them to those 2 points that I showed you a minute ago. There we go. There's my switchboard. Those, let's... want to strip them and connect them without. These are very small wires. Might be easier just to bridge them on the board itself, but I don't want to have to take it all the way apart to do that. That's definitely bare wire. I can't tell if this is bare wire. Whatever this is made of is, or it's coated with. Oh dear, that is interesting wire to mess with. So hold on a second. Let's take a look. Definitely uncoated one of the strands. It's just a very small gauge wire, and I'm afraid it's not making a connection based on what I've just done now, or wouldn't be when I put it together. Let me get this a little bit more exposed. So we have, whoa, way more wire to mess with apparently. Can I find out where these are connected? Because if I can find out what these are connected to, let me pull it off of the broken board, actually. Oh, I can actually use my multimeter still on the broken board because the connections are still, on here. That'll actually work very well. So, because if I can find a spot on the top of the board and just bridge them on the top of the board. So that is Bluetooth on, which means that connects the two together. But so I need to find out where the middle one and the one on that side go on the board. Let's see if the multimeter can figure this out. So hopefully it's just something that has a point. Oop. But is that just the ground plane? No. Yes. Okay, so the middle one is just ground. Actually, that's interesting. So the middle one could have stayed connected. So it just connects the thing to ground. Wish I had known that, because that means it really could have stayed connected. Because I need this ground plane here. Wait, the ground plane is already there as well. Wow, that's great to know. When I did on this one, I should not have taken off that switch because one of the legs is already where I needed it to, and literally all I needed to do was take a wire from here to here. Then that's the whole fix to this when you have a working unit that now I can't do because I've obviously done something else to that. But that would be the fix. But now I got to find out where this other wire is so I can connect it to ground. That's all I got to do is connect it to ground. Oh, thank God. Found it. Okay. So it's this pin right here. If you can see that, I don't know, it doesn't have a label or anything on it. But if I just connect a wire from here to ground, that should make the Bluetooth be on all the time. Should is the operative word, but I should easily be able to do that, and then I don't have to worry about those wires that aren't connected. Let's do that first, and then let's just bridge it and see if it can actually. I'll go back to this one, remember. So if I connect that, let me make sure I got the right one here. That one right next to the chip. Yeah, next to the chip. So I need to connect this one to one of these grounds right here, and that should turn Bluetooth on. Then I have to reconnect the ground to, because one of these is ground. Okay. And that, let me move that out of the way. That should just be kind of fixing the issue that I had before, which was making the Bluetooth always on. So let's see now when I make a connection with a wire, just to power it back up, I should hear the Bluetooth connection sounds. I didn't. Does that mean Bluetooth is not on? I don't know, because I don't have a functioning pair of these headphones to test anything differently. Well, still still knowing that, I guess what I should do is, because maybe I have to hit the button. I don't know. This is just what I had read about how it's supposed to behave. So let me just get my switch back. See, and instead of taking this thing off, I could have just literally, the middle pin was ground. I could have just gone positive to right there, or the other side of the magnet switch to right there, and it in theory should work. Now I'll just connect them to the back. Doesn't really matter. You can just do some small wire and connect them there so that they're less seen, but it makes for more wires that weren't needed. Let me get a couple of wires ready. I mean, maybe this wire is actually too small for this piece. So let's move up to some bigger wire for this, as long as it's not just too messy. The ground plane should be fine. I'm worried about having too big of a wire on that side because I don't have really any in-between gauge wire, which is kind of annoying, but now I gotta move this around in such a way it's not gonna interfere with anything trying to make a connection back into there. I don't know if I don't want to go that way. Oh, I hope not, because there's not gonna be enough room if I do go that way. If I put this so clearly, as you can see, there's pads right here. These pads actually connect into some push pin connectors here when you push this down. So I can't have this thing interfere with those push pins and not actually be able to get down all the way. So I don't know if this is actually going to interfere when I try to put this back on or not. We're gonna, I guess, put it back together and just find out if I need to rearrange this whole thing. Start with this one because it's the much tougher one. All right, so this has now become a power switch. The question is, was I successfully able to make the Bluetooth be on or not? I don't know if there's an indication for Bluetooth on this. Oh, that's an effect mode. Not sure if you can hear that. It's talking about different effect modes it could have. Let's see. Pairing. It says pairing. So therefore I would assume Bluetooth is on if it's going to pair. Hold on, I'm trying to get my phone out, but apparently it doesn't want to recognize my fingerprint. Here we go. Discover. I've got an app in here. I've got an app that this came with apparently. Well, it's a new version of an app. No devices found though. Maybe you have to be paired to it first before it does that. But it's one you can do some different controls and stuff on. So let's see. PXC 550 is showing up. Pair. Pairing successful. Phone 1 connected, it said. So, I mean, that means my assumption is I'm just going to go to YouTube and see if something starts playing through there. I mean, it's just playing an ad right now, but there's definitely something playing.
Switch now to Pixel 7 or Pixel 7 Pro.
Okay, so I ran out of memory on the camera, but I think you guys I think it recorded enough, I haven't gone back and watched it yet, to show that I had run these nice, thick, heavy wires from here to the ground plane and here over to the spot on the magnetic switch. Right when I tried to put it back together, they instantly came off. It was too thick. There was too much stuff in the way. So I've now gone through and replaced it with these nice little thin wires that are under here, one on the ground plane and one running over here. So it's going to be out of the way. Also, I don't know if you heard it or not, but when I was testing after the thick wires, I was like, I can hear the sound through one speaker, but not the other one. I don't know if something's wrong with that. And it turns out the reason why, and I haven't actually put it back together to see, but remember I pointed out those push pin connectors down here. That's what's going to actually have the sound coming out of this channel speaker. So I can't actually test that works until we, just keep the camera, until we get this all put back together here. So let's make sure my switch is still working. Okay, I just heard it say power on. Power off. Okay, so my switch is now currently working. Let's try to push this back together and see. I don't actually want to snap it all the way back together and screw it in yet. I just want to make sure it works. But with the other headset having a slightly different possible fault, I might need to do some voltage comparisons around. So I want to have it accessible and ready. Oh, that snapped in so nice though. Let me zoom back out. There we go. That snapped in very nicely. I just need to put the screws back in here. But let's... piece of tape. Piece of tape got caught around there. So let's turn this on now, just to make sure this works. Power on. It said phone connected. Whether you heard that or not, let me make sure. Let me get a video going here. Try to find another one from this channel. Here we go. Patio heater fix, which is going to be running an ad right now, but let's see. Okay, that's interesting. So I can hear perfectly through the left speaker, but there's nothing happening in the right speaker. So even... That's interesting. So the right speaker is the one I have open and I was messing with. That is the one that needs the push pins to go down to actually make the connection on. But it's got... No, there's no sound in there. Let's... Now here's the deal. I don't know about these previously to know if that was a problem in the past. Let me make sure there's nothing that would be blocking these connections from being made. Let's see. Maybe if I just make sure it snaps down. Oh, there we go. Yep, I think so. I think it just wasn't pushed down enough. Yeah, so I didn't have it pushed down enough, and I think just when I put screws in there, it's going to be fine. So it was just those push pins. So what I can say is we seem to have fixed this one set of headphones. That is fantastic. Very easy fix. Just replace the Bluetooth switch to now be, instead of a Bluetooth switch, it's now the on-off switch for the unit. And you can see. Oh, let's see how the gestures work. So these things are supposed to have some nice gestures. So you can see video is playing. There's volume. Volume up and volume down. That's very cool. One tap should pause. Plays. I think I can skip to another video. I don't know if videos will actually skip. But these headsets supposedly have some nice gestures to them. Or these headphones have some nice gesture action to them, so that'll make it nice and easy to do things. There's many other gestures, but all those work. And one of the things I wanted to test to make sure the gestures were working. So one pair of headphones down. Now need to delve into pair number 2 and see what the difference is here. All right, so now turning focus over to the other headset. Remember, this one has a, it won't power on, but also has this button down here that is stuck. One thing I did notice, though, when I plugged this thing in, remember it's micro USB, not USB-C. When I plug it in, I get this combination of lights. Here, let me zoom in. A combination of lights that's just all of them are basically on, and it doesn't do anything from this perspective. And let me just grab the one we just fixed. Let me show you what they're supposed to do when you plug it in. Is the lights come on for a second, and then it shows like it's charging. I actually realized last night I went to go charge this thing up and make sure it was going to be on and ready to go, so it wasn't a battery issue. And I noticed that, and I was like, that's interesting. Now, let's see what happens, because that button is stuck in the side, right? So let's see what happens if I hold this button in to simulate that button being stuck down, just like it is in the other one, and plug it in. And nothing. Okay, nothing happened. But if I let go... Okay, so it definitely changes something. If I hold it down... Oh, there we go. That was weird. I held it down that time, and it actually, all the lights came on, and now they're staying there, whereas the 2 times I had just done it a second ago. Huh. So it seems to have different behavior. Sometimes nothing happens, sometimes something happens. But either way, this button, I guess, could be interfering. Yeah, this button could be interfering with the way that this is supposed to work. So, let me get back to this guy. Let's see if we can figure out what is causing this button to stick. I want to take this board off and pull the whole button out and like clean it up. But the thing is, there's like this ribbon cable connecting this piece right here, and I'm afraid to do something that's going to end up damaging that ribbon cable. It's got some slack on it for sure, though. I really do think it was just that one screw that held it down. Here we go. That's freed up a little bit. There we go. You guys got to be careful now, because this ribbon cable. There we go. Okay. So I can leave the ribbon cable attached, it seems, but I can. Whoa. Oh, that's just a cover. Okay. So there's this lifted up, and it scared me a little bit. That's the lights. Okay, so that's just a diffuser for the lights. Okay, so that's fine. How about, here's the button. How does this button work? I don't understand how this button works. There's no obvious clicky piece of the button. Is it because it's broken? Yeah, flashlight. Or is it because it's stuck in a... I think actually it's just stuck in the in position. Well, it didn't actually feel like it for a minute, but I made some progress. I don't know how well you can see. The button is so small. There is a little black button in the middle, and I used tweezers and was digging in there, these tweezers, and I dug in there and I was just trying to see if it would pry out, because I wasn't even sure it was actually a button, and I got it to move a little bit. I thought it was actually breaking, but it did move out a little bit, and now I put some isopropyl alcohol directly in, and I scrubbed it a little bit, and now I've just been working it with my fingers, and I'm getting a noticeable click out of it now. I'm not ready to call it good yet, because I want to make sure I work that IPA into there, but it's definitely clicking and retracting. Let me just continue giving it a little bit of scrub, and then we'll see if I can get it put back in there and get a noticeable click out of it with the actual button plate over top of it, and see how it feels. Well, unfortunately, that didn't go quite according to plan. I kept getting to a point where the button gets stuck again. So as I tried to work it more and more, I realized that the switch itself was actually coming apart. And if you see, yeah, the whole top came off the switch when I was messing with it. I can push it back down, but that's not really that helpful. Pretty sure the switch in general is just, very, very broken. So now I got to figure out, oh gosh, yeah, the innards of this thing, I don't know how much you could see, are just broken pieces of the switch. There's a couple pieces of that came out. Let's yeah, I need to remove this switch from the board. It's this right here now. I need to remove this from the board and see what I can do. The biggest concern I have with removing this from the board, if that thing will focus, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. Come on. Come on. It's trying. Oh, maybe it won't. There's a bunch of little teeny components right next to it. So I don't know how easy it's going to be to just to get it off without damaging those. Maybe I can just peel it off and what is that now? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. It's a reverse switch. It looks like this is actually the switch. Right here. It's a push button switch like this, so it pushes down. So whatever mechanism was in the button must be pushing forward, but internally it pushes down. It probably like pushes on something that was on a ramp and it pushes it down. So right now, maybe this is testable because I've clearly gotten the switch apart so that it shouldn't be making contact anymore. Granted, I couldn't find the exact points that were actually part of the switch connection where it comes in, just because the circuit traces are so small, and I can't tell if it's any of these test points, but either way, it shouldn't be making contact now, realizing that this is what actually needs to make contact at the end of the day. Yeah. So now we can at least put this back together and troubleshoot the button having anything to do with the problems I was facing. And unfortunately, I can't just test that with this. I tried to plug this in without anything else on the board connected. The lights don't light up or anything. So clearly the ribbon cable needs to be connected to troubleshoot further. So let me get this put back together enough to test, and we'll be back. Okay, the ribbon cable is a little difficult of a position to get it rejoined, but I have done so. So now let's see. I didn't connect anything else on this board yet. I just want to see what happens when I plug this in now. Upside down. Hey, okay. So we have now changed this from not doing anything to having, it looks like it's charging, and it looks like the battery was completely flat. I might have to let this charge up for a little bit. Though in theory it should work while it's plugged in. I could probably try to let me try to jump those 2 points. I don't think, well actually I don't need to jump any points. Let me see if this thing will actually turn on. Oh my goodness, it does. It just turned on. It said power on. So that means power up. That means the magnetic switch in this one actually is functional, which is interesting because I thought I saw that the magnet was missing as well, but maybe I don't know what I'm looking for with the magnet. Yeah, it looks like there's just a giant hole up here where the magnet is supposed to be. To me, it looks like there's just a hole, but I guess maybe there's not just a hole. Oh wait, that's the wrong side. I'll have to look at the other side of it, actually, which I can't really do. No, that is the correct side to look at. I don't know. To me, I mean, it just, there's a gaping hole up here, which maybe there's a magnet inside of there that I can't see after all. But this magnetic switch actually works. The button is clearly not stuck in anymore, but we do have a difficult time of actually accessing that button if we're trying to. Let me let this thing charge up for a little bit and then see if I can mess with this further and get this stuff put back together a little bit more to see if I maybe have a replacement button I can use, if I can find out what points that button would be connecting so I can just wire something into there to make this thing work. Okay, so I realized I don't really have a good solution to fix this switch. So what I think I'm going to do actually is the one that we fixed yesterday by wiring this up and having the Bluetooth switch be the on-off switch. This board works perfectly fine. On the one that the magnetic switch works well on, this board does not work as well, and therefore it's going to have a problem with getting things to pair to. You'd have to open it up or somehow reach in here and hit this little button if I can't get that replaced with anything. So I think what I'm actually going to do is take the board that houses the charger and the buttons and stuff that are broken on the one we're working on now, and I'm going to move it to the one with the working magnetic switch. so that one of these units is actually perfectly functional, like it's new out of the box, and the other one will still work with the workaround with the Bluetooth switch that actually turns it on and off, but will also have the issue with the pairing button. So we consolidate the broken one into one unit that'll still be usable. It'll just be a little bit more finicky, whereas we'll have one brand new out of the box. So let me do some swapping around and see if we can get one of these working as if it was from the factory, and the other one working with two different faults, but in a workaround situation. All right, here we go. So this was the one that started out with the button that did not click in very well. So I changed that board out. Now the button clicks nicely. I've actually put it all back together and used it to completely, or to connect my phone and everything. So watch this. I don't know how well you can hear, but let's turn it. Power on. Those magnetic switches are working. I've already got it paired to my phone. Let me show you how that works. Yep. Working perfectly fine. So now this thing actually works exactly as it is intended, with everything working just like it came from the factory. So turn that off. And this one, on the other hand, has the, I haven't put it all back together yet because this is the one that has the button that we fixed before. But you can see that that makes the power come on and everything now, which is fine. I can live with that, having a different power switch. The only thing I can't say I can't live with, because I'm gonna have to live with it, is the fact that this is the button is supposed to be right here that turns, it changes the effect mode or allows you for Bluetooth pairing. What I wanted to show you was, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but if I push in on this with like tweezers or something, I don't know if you could hear it say effect mode. So the button itself does work, but you need to get into it to be able to change anything to do with this. So I don't know how easily this is gonna be able to be to pair. I've got this paired to my phone already. So what my thought is maybe this will be the pair that I just use with my phone on a regular basis. I don't need to pair it to anything else. And if I ever do have to pair it to something else, I just know that I have to open it up and get in here and actually like click the button with something until I can come up with a better solution. But I always have these ones that are going to be the ones that I can use to pair it to anything else that I want to, because they're working perfectly fine. So at the end of the day, out of the $50 purchase, I have one completely fixed pair of these PXC 550 headphones, and I've got one pair that is functional. You have to use the Bluetooth switch to turn it on and off, and you have to pair it by opening it up and pressing the button with something else, unless I come up with a different solution for that, which I'd love to know what you guys' thoughts are. But I think, all in all, this was a successful video with basically 1 3/4 working units, and when it's working, like connected to my phone, this is going to function perfectly normal. I'm not going to have any problems with this. It's just when I have to pair it to a new device where it's going to cause a headache or an issue. But considering these things are retailing from anywhere between $300 and $399 still at this point, what I see you can buy online, I'm pretty happy with this $50 purchase. So thanks for watching, guys. I know it was a long one. Appreciate it. Thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.